The Silent Witness is a haunting tale of betrayal, vengeance, and a past that refuses to stay buried. In the quiet town of Ridgeshire, where everyone knows each other's name, the brutal murder of beloved bookstore owner Evelyn shatters the peace. A single cryptic message left at the crime scene reveals a connection to a dangerous history Evelyn had fought to escape. Uncovered tangled webs of secrets, unspoken threats, and the looming presence of a vengeful ex-husband who will stop at nothing to settle old scores. The once idyllic town, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, had always been a sanctuary for its residents. But now, with Evelyn's death at its center, Ridgeshire is forced to confront the dark forces lurking beneath its serene exterior. As Detective Samuel begins to piece together the scattered clues, he realizes that this is not just about solving a murder. It's about unraveling a twisted history of betrayal that threatens to consume everything in its path. The community is rocked, each resident wondering if they're truly safe. Will justice prevail, or will the sins of the past claim yet another life? Evelyn had been a cherished figure in Ridgeshire, admired by all who knew her. At 38, she had carefully crafted a life many envied, an accomplished small business owner, a dedicated volunteer, and a proud single mother to a bright 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Her bookstore, The Whispering Pages, was the heart of the town, a cozy haven where the world seemed to slow down, and everyone who walked in felt like they were part of something special. For Evelyn, it was more than just a business. It was a sanctuary, a dream realized. Growing up in a harsh, unforgiving town, books had been her escape, and she had vowed to create a space where others could find the same solace she once had. Yet, despite the perfect picture she had painted for herself, Evelyn's life was anything but flawless. Her marriage to Marcus, a man she once believed could share her dreams, had become a prison. In the beginning, Marcus had been everything she hoped for: charming, attentive, and full of promise. Together, they envisioned a future of success and happiness. But as the years wore on, his true nature began to show. His manipulative tendencies crept in, and Evelyn found herself trapped in a marriage that stifled her spirit and crushed her dreams. After years of enduring emotional abuse, Evelyn found the courage to fight back. She testified against Marcus in a high-profile case, exposing his dark secrets as a con artist who swindled victims out of their life savings. His conviction was largely thanks to her unwavering testimony, and though it came with a personal toll that left deep scars, it was a defining moment in Evelyn's life, a moment where she chose justice over fear and truth over silence. Still, the toll of the past never truly left her. Evelyn had done what she could to move on, to rebuild her life for herself and for Lily, but the shadows of what had once been never stayed buried for long. Even as she built a new life in Ridgeshire, her past lurked just beneath the surface, waiting for the moment it would resurface, along with a man who would stop at nothing to make her pay for the life he believed she stole from him. On the crisp morning of October 3, 2017, Ridgeshire was thrown into disarray. Evelyn had failed to open the Whispering Pages, an oddity that had never happened before. By noon, concerned patrons, accustomed to the comfort of her presence, knocked on the door, but there was no response. When the door was pushed open, the unsettling silence inside was only broken by the cold shock that awaited them. Evelyn's lifeless body lay sprawled across the living room floor. A pool of blood had seeped into the rug, the remnants of a violent end. Her face, frozen in terror, told a grim story of the final moments of her life. The police were immediately contacted, and Detective Samuel, a seasoned investigator with an unyielding reputation for his meticulous methods, was called to the scene. The initial crime scene assessment was chilling. Signs of a brutal struggle. Furniture had been overturned, a lamp lay shattered on the floor, and the back door stood wide open. But what struck Detective Samuel most was the message scrawled on the wall above Evelyn's body: "You can't escape the past." The words seemed like a twisted echo of something far darker than the town had ever witnessed. Evelyn's death reverberated throughout Ridgeshire like a shockwave, leaving a community that had always prided itself on its safety in stunned disbelief. How could someone so kind, so deeply embedded in the fabric of the town, meet such a violent end? Who would want to harm her? As Detective Samuel began to dig deeper into Evelyn's life, it became clear that she had secrets, ones she had spent years trying to bury. 10 years earlier, Evelyn had testified against her ex-husband, Marcus. The man she had once loved, the man who had once shared her dreams, had been convicted for a string of financial crimes, defrauding innocent people of their life savings. It was her testimony that had sealed his conviction, sentencing him to 15 years in prison. The emotional toll of betraying the man she once trusted left scars that would never fully heal. But the cost of standing up for what was right was the fracture of a dangerous, toxic relationship. Marcus, a man who had learned the art of manipulation in a broken home, was no stranger to deceit. Over the years, he had perfected the art of the con. His charm and deceptive smile were weapons he wielded with precision, bending others to his will. But Evelyn, from the very beginning, had seen through him, and for that, she had paid a heavy price. When she testified against him, it had been the final nail in the coffin of their marriage, and to Marcus, an unforgivable act. The years he spent behind bars only fanned the flames of his resentment, festering into a dangerous obsession. His thoughts became consumed with one thing: revenge, and in his mind, Evelyn, the woman who once loved him, had destroyed him. She had to pay. Detective Samuel's investigation quickly revealed an unsettling truth. Marcus had been released on parole just 3 months before Evelyn's murder. When questioned, he vehemently denied any involvement in her death, claiming he had moved on from the past. But his alibi was questionable, and his hatred for Evelyn was well known. Samuel dug deeper, searching for any cracks in Marcus's story. As he sifted through Evelyn's recent interactions and the people she had confided in, something disturbing began to surface. Evelyn had been increasingly anxious in the weeks leading up to her death, mentioning to a close friend that she felt like someone was watching her. At first, she dismissed it as paranoia, but as the days passed, her fear became palpable. Then came a break in the case. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed a man resembling Marcus lingering near Evelyn's house on multiple occasions, often standing in the shadows, watching. The suspicion grew stronger. The real breakthrough came from an unexpected source: Lily, Evelyn's 10-year-old daughter. On the night of her mother's murder, Lily had woken up to the sound of raised voices. Curiosity led her to peek from her bedroom door, where she saw a man arguing with her mother in the dim light of the living room. Lily couldn't make out his face clearly, but she distinctly remembered 2 things: the smell of tobacco that hung thick in the air, and the metallic clink of keys. It was a memory that haunted her, and one she shared with Detective Samuel. Further investigation uncovered a keyring near the back door, engraved with Marcus's initials. Forensics confirmed that Marcus's fingerprints were all over the keys and the doorknob. The evidence was damning, and the case took a sharp turn. Marcus was arrested, but he continued to insist on his innocence, claiming he had been framed by someone who had an agenda. Despite his protests, the mounting evidence left little room for doubt. As the trial progressed, the case against Marcus grew stronger. Witness testimonies, the surveillance footage, Lily's chilling account of what she had seen, and the physical evidence all painted a damning portrait of the man who had once been Evelyn's husband. Marcus's facade cracked under the weight of the truth. In the end, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing him to life without the possibility of parole. The town of Ridgeshire was left to pick up the pieces. Evelyn, the woman who had given so much to her community, had been taken too soon, and with her, a part of the town's heart had gone missing. Yet, in the shadows of her death, the truth had been brought to light, and justice had been served. For Evelyn, for Lily, and for the town she had loved, there would be no true peace until the past had been laid to rest. The aftermath of Evelyn's brutal murder left the town of Ridgeshire reeling. The Whispering Pages, a cherished cornerstone of the community, closed its doors indefinitely, the windows now boarded up, a silent monument to the loss. Lily, Evelyn's bright and curious 10-year-old daughter, was placed under the care of Evelyn's sister, a woman whose presence brought a semblance of comfort but could never replace the mother Lily had lost. The once vibrant town, known for its serene landscapes and tight-knit community, was now haunted by the spectre of its darkest day. Ridgeshire was a place where secrets were kept, and now, the deepest one of all had been forced into the open. The emotional toll on the town was profound. Many struggled to cope with the shock of Evelyn's violent death, each person wondering if they could have done something, anything, to prevent it. Neighbors who had known Evelyn for years, who had shared laughter and stories over cups of tea, now found themselves questioning everything. The bonds of friendship that had held the community together seemed fragile in the face of such horror. Some felt guilty for not noticing the signs, for not seeing the danger that had loomed in the weeks before her death. Lily, still too young to fully understand the depth of her loss, was consumed by nightmares. Each night, she was haunted by the image of her mother, lying lifeless on the living room floor, her eyes wide with fear. The weight of the loss pressed down on the young girl, and the absence of her mother left a void that no one could fill. Despite her sister's best efforts, Evelyn's sister could not erase the pain of losing her sister, nor could she shield Lily from the raw grief that clung to her like a shadow. Detective Samuel, despite solving the case and bringing the killer to justice, found little solace in his work. The case was closed, but the haunting reality of Evelyn's death lingered in his mind. He had done his job, brought Marcus to trial, and secured a conviction. But no matter how much he focused on the facts, he could not ignore the deeper sorrow that clouded his heart. The case had left him with a burden, knowing that no matter how hard he worked, he couldn't undo the tragedy, couldn't bring Evelyn back. The justice he had sought felt hollow in the face of such a senseless loss. Ridgeshire, once a town known for its peace and tranquility, was forever changed. The whispers of that fateful day echoed through every corner. People gathered at the local diner, their voices lowered to hushed tones, trying to make sense of what had happened. Some still clung to the belief that Marcus was innocent, that there had to be more to the story. Others, however, could not fathom how anyone could harm someone as kind-hearted as Evelyn. Yet, no matter where they stood, everyone shared the same unsettling truth, that a quiet town had been irrevocably shattered, and the scars would never fully fade. As the years passed, Ridgeshire began to heal, though the process was slow. Time had a way of dulling the sharp edges of grief, but the memory of Evelyn's murder would never truly fade. To honor her, the town came together to create a mural on the side of the bookstore. The image was simple yet powerful, an open book with pages flowing into the wind, transforming into birds. It was a symbol of Evelyn's life, a reminder of the freedom she had fought for and the hope she had brought to everyone she touched. The mural became a quiet place of reflection for the town, a spot where people could come and remember the woman who had given so much of herself to her community. Slowly, the residents of Ridgeshire began to rebuild their lives, finding strength in the shared memory of Evelyn's kindness. It was a long, arduous process, but together they found the courage to move forward. They held on to the hope that, while the past could never be erased, they could honor Evelyn's legacy by living with compassion and love for one another. Lily, though still haunted by the loss of her mother, grew into a young woman with a fierce determination. As she entered adulthood, she turned to the written word, channeling her grief, her anger, and her longing into stories that resonated with readers around the world. Her books, often laced with themes of love, loss, and the search for justice, became a testament to her mother's influence, a tribute to the woman who had shaped her into the person she had become. Evelyn's legacy lived on, not just in the hearts of those who had loved her, but in the strength of a community that refused to let tragedy define them. Ridgeshire would never forget what had happened, but it learned to move forward, carrying Evelyn's memory like a whisper on the wind. The town had weathered its darkest storm, and though the pain would always linger, they had found a way to endure, always remembering that even in the face of unimaginable loss, there is hope. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe. It's free, and you'll never miss a mystery. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.